The crystal chandelier sparkled above the grand dining hall of the prestigious Grand Lexington Hotel in New York City, but beneath the beauty, something terrifying was about to happen. Billionaire investor Michael Carter had no idea that the elegant glass of sparkling juice placed before him had already become part of a carefully planned trap. Just as he reached for the drink, a nervous hotel employee rushed past, pretending to adjust the tablecloth. Without looking directly at him, she leaned close enough for only him to hear 4 chilling words. "There's a drug in your drink." Michael's hand froze in midair. Around him, wealthy businessmen continued smiling, waiters moved naturally between tables, and soft piano music filled the room. Nobody noticed the warning except the billionaire whose heartbeat suddenly thundered louder than the orchestra. Before we continue, if you believe kindness, courage, and second chances can change lives, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who loves emotional stories, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us create more inspiring stories every week. Michael had built a fortune worth billions through honesty, discipline, and patience. Unlike many wealthy executives, he preferred observing people quietly rather than showing off his success. That morning he had traveled to the Grand Lexington to finalize a multi-billion-dollar partnership with several influential investors. Everything about the meeting appeared perfect, yet years of experience had taught him never to ignore instinct. The warning from the hotel employee echoed repeatedly inside his mind. Instead of touching the glass, he calmly thanked the server who had delivered it and continued the meeting as though nothing unusual had happened. The employee who had whispered the warning was named Grace Foster, a 26-year-old woman who had spent nearly every day of her adult life working to support her widowed father and younger brother in Brooklyn. Her salary barely covered rent, groceries, and medical bills, but she refused to compromise her integrity. Every guest knew her as polite, hardworking, and invisible. Few realized that behind her warm smile was someone who noticed every detail inside the hotel. Earlier that morning, while preparing the private dining room, Grace had accidentally overheard 2 senior hotel managers discussing a plan involving one of the investors. She never heard every detail, but one sentence terrified her enough to risk everything. They intended to drug the billionaire's drink before forcing him to sign confidential documents that would transfer control of several companies worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Grace knew that exposing powerful people could destroy her career forever. She had seen employees fired for much less. Yet she also remembered her late mother's words that true character is revealed when doing the right thing costs something valuable. Those memories gave her the courage to whisper the warning despite knowing cameras covered nearly every corner of the dining hall. Michael quietly excused himself and walked toward the restroom. Instead of entering, he discreetly called the head of his private security team waiting outside the hotel. Within minutes, several trusted investigators entered the building disguised as ordinary guests. Michael instructed them not to interrupt anyone. He wanted proof before making accusations. If Grace was risking her future, he wanted to make sure her courage would not be wasted. The investigators carefully reviewed live security feeds while another specialist secretly collected the untouched drink from Michael's table. Laboratory equipment stored inside their security vehicle confirmed everyone's worst fear. The beverage contained a powerful sedative capable of leaving someone confused and unable to make rational decisions for several hours. Michael felt a wave of disbelief. Someone had planned the attack inside one of America's finest luxury hotels. Meanwhile, Grace continued serving tables while pretending nothing had happened. Every second felt like an hour. She noticed one of the managers watching her unusually closely. Fear tightened inside her chest, yet she continued smiling naturally. She had accepted that losing her job was almost certain. What mattered now was preventing an innocent man from becoming another victim of greed. By late afternoon, Michael invited every executive, investor, and senior hotel manager into the hotel's largest conference room. Everyone assumed the business contract was finally ready for signing. Instead, large television screens suddenly displayed security footage collected throughout the day. The recordings showed suspicious exchanges between 2 managers and one corrupt investor. Then laboratory reports confirmed that Michael's drink had indeed been contaminated with illegal substances. Silence filled the room. Faces that had been overflowing with confidence moments earlier turned pale with panic. One executive attempted to deny everything, but another security recording revealed him secretly paying one of the hotel managers before the meeting. There was nowhere left to hide. Local law enforcement officers, already waiting outside with evidence provided by Michael's legal team, entered the conference room and arrested everyone involved in the conspiracy. News spread rapidly across New York. Television stations reported how a billionaire had narrowly escaped an elaborate corporate crime thanks to the bravery of an ordinary hotel employee. Reporters wanted interviews with Michael, but he refused to make himself the hero. Every time someone praised him, he redirected the attention toward Grace. A week later, Michael invited Grace back to the Grand Lexington. She expected another interview or perhaps more questions from investigators. Instead, she found the ballroom beautifully decorated with hotel employees, journalists, and community leaders gathered together. Michael walked onto the stage holding a small velvet box and a folder. He explained that billions of dollars had nearly been stolen because powerful people believed honesty could be bought or frightened into silence. Then he looked directly at Grace and thanked her for proving that integrity still existed in the world. He presented her with a National Civilian Courage Award sponsored by his charitable foundation. Inside the folder was something even more surprising. Michael had fully paid every remaining medical bill for her father, established a college scholarship for her younger brother, and offered Grace a leadership position overseeing ethics training across every hotel owned by his investment group. Tears rolled down Grace's face as the audience rose for a standing ovation. For the first time in years, she felt the heavy burden of fear lifting from her shoulders. She realized that although courage often begins with trembling hands and uncertain hearts, it can inspire thousands of strangers who witness its impact. Michael later announced that every company under his ownership would introduce stronger protections for employees who reported corruption. Anonymous reporting systems, independent investigations, and financial rewards for honest whistleblowers became permanent policies. He often explained that billion-dollar businesses are not protected by expensive buildings or complicated contracts but by ordinary people willing to tell the truth when everyone else remains silent. The story of Grace Foster soon reached schools, churches, and community organizations across the United States. Teachers used her example to remind young people that real heroes rarely wear expensive suits or appear on magazine covers. Sometimes they wear simple uniforms, work long hours, and quietly choose honesty when nobody is watching. Her decision to whisper one warning saved not only a billionaire but thousands of employees whose futures depended on companies that almost fell into criminal hands. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that one honest person can change countless lives, please support this video by liking it, sharing it with your friends and family, and subscribing to our channel. Your encouragement allows us to keep bringing meaningful stories that restore hope. Before the story ends, tell us in the comments, what would you have done if you were in Grace's position? Would you risk your job to save a stranger? As Michael left the hotel that evening, he looked back one final time. The luxurious building appeared exactly as it had the week before, but everything inside had changed. Corruption had been exposed, innocent people had been protected, and a quiet hotel employee had reminded an entire nation that courage does not belong only to the rich or powerful. Sometimes the strongest voice is not the loudest one. Sometimes it is simply a frightened whisper that refuses to let evil win. And in that whisper, countless lives can find hope again.